Hello chess lovers, welcome back to my channel. Today I will show you an interesting game from the FIDE Rapid World Championship 2024 between the young Grandmaster Denis Lazavik and five-time World Champion Magnus Carlsen. A game that shows that even the best player can stumble sometimes. Denis Lazavik started the game with pawn d4, Carlsen played pawn d5. Then we have c4, and with pawn c6 we have the Slav defense on the board. After white capture the d-pawn, we have, after recapture, the exchange variation of the Slav defense on the board. White plays now knight c3 and black plays knight f6. Now we have bishop f4 and knight c6. Then pawn e3 and pawn a6. Rook to c1 and bishop f5. Developing the bishop outside the pawn chain before playing the pawn to e6. Now we have knight f3 and e6. White moves now the queen to b3, and it follows a typical move for Magnus Carlsen, rook to a7. Both players develop their bishops now. So we have from white bishop e2, and black moves his bishop to e7. We have kingside castle of the white player, and black moves the knight to d7. It seems now that we reached a drawish position, but Magnus Carlsen wants more. We have knight to a4 from white. After the last white move, Carlsen launches with pawn g5 a kingside pawn storm. That is maybe a bit risky, but he wants to complicate the game as much as he can. White to move bishop e5. Black castles now kingside. Maybe it's better in this position to capture the white bishop on e5 with one of the knights. We have now bishop g3. Carlsen is pushing now the pawns forward for a win. We have h3 from white, and the black pawn moves to g4. White captures this pawn, and black opens lines aggressively. We have knight to h4 and knight to f6. Queen to d1, and the black knight moves to e4. The bishop goes to f4, and the black bishop moves to g5. Bishop captures on g4, and black captures on f4. The white pawn captures back on f4, and now Carlsen played king g7. Queen f6 would be better. After king g7, white has an advantage. We have now white bishop captures on f5, and the pawn recapture. Lazavik played in this position pawn g3, and now the black rook moves to h8. We have knight to f3 and rook to a8. We have king to g2, queen to f6, and knight to c3. Rook a to d8. White moves the queen to d3. This move connects the white rooks, defending the position. Carlsen plays now rook to h5, rook to h1, queen to h6. Queen to h6 is consistent, but not a good move. We have now from white queen to e3, and the black rook from d8 moves to h8. The white rook captures on h5, queen takes back, and now white plays knight to h4. The black knight from e4 moves now back to f6. If we look to this position, we realize a big white advantage. White plays now rook to h1, and the black king goes back to f8. This move is an invitation to white to gain material. White to play queen d3, and black moves the knight to e7. Do you know what Lazavik played the next move? Yes. He played knight to g6 check. This discovered attack of white is the game winner. Carlsen recaptures with the pawn. The white rook captures the queen on h5. Black captures back with the pawn on h5. Look to this position. Black has a rook and a knight for the queen, but that is not enough. We have now knight to e2. Black responds king to f7. Knight to g1. h4 from black. White captures, and Carlsen captures back with the rook. And now we have knight to h3, king g6. Now Lazavik decided to attack the queen side of black. We have knight to c6. Lazavik's king is safe, so he can attack the b7 pawn on the other side of the board. Knight c6 captures on d4, and the white queen captures on a6. Now the black position is hopeless. Carlsen moves his rook now to g4 with check. The white king goes to f1, and rook comes to h4. White queen to d3, knight to e6. Lazavik gives a check with the queen on g3. The rook moves to g4, and the white queen goes back to e3. We have rook to h4, and now the queen takes the knight on e6. Carlsen takes the rook on h3. The white king moves to e2, and the rook comes to h1. But this rook cannot stop the white pawns on the queen's side. Now we have pawn a4, rook a1, queen c6, rook a2, and queen b5. In this position, Magnus Carlsen resigns because the pawns are unstoppable. Denis Lazavik holds the ground against the world's #1. A massive result for the young grandmaster. If you enjoyed this game, smash the like button and subscribe my small channel to get more interesting chess games. See you later.